Right, somebody mentioned in the comments that I need to convert the Goldstar to left-hand drive, so I'll just quickly do that now. There we go. And now we'll go for a little ride just around this region of Bagua. And what I really like about the Girona area is how the Mediterranean forest seems to slope down all the way to the sea. You just see trees everywhere. It's amazing. It's what you don't quite get on the Costa del Sol. That's a lot drier and you don't seem to get as much forest. Right, welcome back to the channel everyone. So this is the first video I'm shooting from the Costa Brava. I'm still learning what these different coastlines are. Costa Brava is the top one with Barcelona and Girona and up near to France. Then you've got the Costa Blanca with Valencia on it and almost opposite the Balearic Islands. And then at the bottom you've got Costa del Sol. Obviously it faces south, it's hottest, with Malaga, Alicante, Benidorm, those kind of cities on it. Still learning. But that's not the topic of the video today. We're going to talk about the BSA 350. Now, has the BSA 350 been formally announced? No, it hasn't. Has there been any spy shots or anything of this bike? No. However, I brought this bike up at the Motorcycle Live show with BSA and the importer. The importer kind of semi-confirmed there'd be a 350 bike and BSA wouldn't be drawn on speculation. So a bit of a divergence there between the manufacturer and the importer over what they should or shouldn't say. I suspect there will be a 350. Even more recently, BSA put up a Facebook post saying, what would you like to see from us in terms of bikes in 2024? Quite a few people, including myself, wrote that a small capacity single cylinder bike would be absolutely perfect. It would also make sense from a market perspective because don't forget Royal Enfield have had the 350 range now since 2021 when the Meteor 350 first debuted, and those bikes, firstly it was the 350 for the Meteor, then the Classic followed on, then it was the Hunter 350, and more recently they brought out the Bullet 350, and people piled in to buy one and then they part X that one in for the next one, and then a lot of people, so Royal Enfield just got almost the same customer purchasing multiple bikes from them, all because of this kind of a low capacity, very affordable platform. Now, the Royal Enfield 350 isn't without its faults because it is, some would say, underpowered. My personal opinion is that it is underpowered. You've got 20 horsepower and you've got a bike that weighs over 200 kg and you've got 5 gears. I struggled to get my bike up to 65 to 70. With the throttle like wide open ringing it's actually hard to get to the national speed limit here in the UK. And some people have the mindset that, okay, that's just, you live with that, it's not for going fast. And then a lot of the owners are actually trying to modify their bikes to make them faster. Now when you talk about making a Royal Enfield 350 faster, you're talking about a 2 horsepower bump from 20 to 22. And to achieve that, you need a DNA air filter which allows the engine to breathe more easily. You can also fit a Kent Cams camshaft, so Kent Cams have actually brought out a cam for this engine in order to try and meet the market need for the bike to go a little bit faster. But more recently, people have learned that if you take the throttle body from the Hunter 350 and transfer it over to the other J Series bikes, you actually remove the speed restriction and you can get the bike up to about 80 miles an hour, supposedly. Now, the 350 from Royal Enfield is actually quite torquey, so it feels nice. It kind of will go in every gear. It's just it doesn't have much power, so you're losing that top end. So if BSA could bring out a classically styled motorcycle with about 30 horsepower, I think they would clean up. I think the bike would have to be priced around 4,000 to 4,500, because if you remember when Royal Enfield launched its 350 range, it was as cheap as 3,600 for the entry-level Fireball, but for the higher tier bikes, the Stella and the Supernova, they were still under £4,000, because I bought my Supernova for £3,900. So you had under £4,000 and you had an amazing motorcycle. So I think that was a few years ago. I think prices have gone up. So if BSA can bring it in under £4,500 with some of the styling cues from the Goldstar 650 ported onto this new bike, it would just it would really tug at the heartstrings of a lot of people, I think. I think they would call it the something 350, because obviously this Goldstar is called the Goldstar 650, and also calling the bike the, I don't know, Shooting Star or Thunderbolt, or it wouldn't be a Bantam, I don't think, but the something 350 would then put it head to head with Royal Enfield's 350. Everyone would know that those two bikes are competitive with each other. So yeah, that would be really, really good. The other reason BSA would probably be thinking of doing this is because Classic Legends, who are owned by Mahindra, so Mahindra here at the top, here's Classic Legends, and then the brands, I think Yeezy, Jawa and BSA are all classic European motorcycle brands that have been, the rights for them have been bought by Classic Legends. So the Jawa brand is actually a Czech motorcycle company that was formed in World War II that Classic Legends have successfully brought back, and they now sell those bikes to the Indian market. The Jawa brand actually has a bike called the Perak, and this is a 334cc liquid-cooled single-cylinder bike which puts out, I think, just shy of 30 horsepower and 33 newton meters of torque. Now it is liquid-cooled, but I don't think these days people are put off having a classically styled liquid-cooled bike. Yes, the J Series bikes from Royal Enfield are also air and oil cooled, and people do like that about them. But the Himalayan, the new one, is liquid cooled, and also Triumph's brought out the 400X Scrambler and the 400 Speed. Both of those bikes are liquid cooled, and people are still putting down their names for them in pre-orders. So I think if BSA brought out this bike, nice small radiator, which you probably wouldn't need that much of a cooling solution on a small capacity as you do a 650 single. You could have a discrete radiator and that classic styling, the BSA badge on it, £4,000, and it would just be it would be a great competition for Royal Enfield, I think. Take it a bit easy because I've still got cold tyres. Now obviously the bike next to me over here, the BSA, hasn't been without its faults. I'd say number one was the delay in getting the bikes to UK shores. It took about 12 months longer than it should have for the Goldstar to arrive, and that annoyed a lot of people. A lot of people cancelled orders and went over to the Interceptor 650 instead. Was that BSA's fault? I think some of it was quality control at the factory. They wanted to make sure the bikes were right before they were shipped. But then some of it was out of their control. It was pandemic time, and it was the Suez Canal was closed for weeks whilst that container ship was stuck. So we don't really know whether the fault of the delays was entirely BSA's or just the conditions of the global economy. The other thing which has happened with the Goldstar is that there's a small but vocal minority of owners who are hacked off about the performance of the bike and faults like the engine management light and the bike stalling or losing power. Now my bike, I have the Goldstar 650, I think it's great, it's absolutely perfect for me, I haven't had any faults. The only time the engine management light came on is when I slid the bike down the road on its side. And then, even then, after 3 cycles of the ignition, I went out for a ride, came back, turned it on, turned it off, the engine management light reset as it's meant to, so it did what it's meant to do. And then it hasn't been back on since, so the bike's been perfect. But that said, there are owners who don't agree with me, and there are people that would probably hesitate on buying another BSA if it had similar problems. So I think BSA, get their act together, get these bikes delivered UK warehouse, make an announcement 2 weeks, that's a bit soon, 2 months probably before the bike's available to buy in a dealer. And don't forget their dealer network is now established. 2 months before it's due, bikes to dealers, pre-orders, I think people would go for it. Let's see what they do. I suspect if they do release this 350, it's going to be definitely in 2024. I predict June, July time. Why is that? I think they know they've got a window at which to get a smaller capacity bike out, because Royal Enfield, don't forget, have now got the Sherpa platform, and it won't be long before Royal Enfield start porting that 40 horsepower engine into a classically styled cruiser, classically styled with, I don't know what the term is, modern retro with mid controls for the foot pegs. and then you'll have a 40 horsepower from Royal Enfield versus a 30 horsepower from BSA, and that won't look as favourable. So that's my prediction, guys. Let me know what you think about a potential BSA 350. It's super exciting. I don't think I would trade my BSA Goldstar in for one, but would it have it as a second bike? I don't know. Maybe I'm a BSA fanboy now. Actually, that's not in dispute. I'm definitely a BSA fanboy. All right, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.